welcome you to the first episode of my new series, Warframe theme builds. And today, we're going to be looking at Kratos from God of War. I hope you enjoy. Onto the loadout itself. Please keep in mind that this is supposed to be more for keeping the theme instead of being effective and going with more usual weapons. But just to stick with the theme, we're using just bow and arrows. So I went with Cernos Prime, but any bow of your choice might work. And Ballistica Prime. And of course, just to have a good version of dual blades to represent the Blades of Chaos or Exile, whichever you prefer. And there's a lot of good dual swords that you could choose, like probably as well the dual Ichors, dual Kamos Prime, or my personal favorite, to be honest, the Prisma dual cleavers, just because of the augment, which Atlas would benefit from greatly as well. But I've decided to go with these for this video. On to Atlas himself, our Kratos here. So we have a build that has basically everything, especially just because it's Atlas, great survivability with a mix of vitality, adaptation, and his rubble mechanic, which grants him a lot of armor. So you're basically very tanky while still being able to push out a lot of damage with your 1, and also being able to greatly crowd control the enemies with this amount of range, good bit duration, and spammability on your 3, which can petrify your enemies. So basically this build consists of you hitting your 1 and 3 as much as you possibly can. Next, let's go in depth about our weapons. First, the Cernos Prime. Like I said, this weapon is interchangeable with any other bow that fits your playstyle, but I personally like this one for this build, because reasons I will mention later. So, when you don't have a Riven, like me, I would suggest a build similar to this. You basically build almost every bow for crit stats, of course, your 2 damage mods, always. Then you use Hunter Munitions to get through high level armor, which I'll show you later. Just Vigilante Armaments for better crits and more damage. And then I'm using an elemental build to utilize viral damage better, so Hunter Munitions can work better. And you don't have high enough fire rate on most of the bows, or any bow to be honest, so that corrosive may be efficient. Maybe if it's a lot of arrows or rapid fire, I still prefer viral just because Hunter Munitions will do the job then. So this shouldn't be too hard to come by. Next up, Ballistica Prime. So just to stick with the bow, arrow, crossbow, blah, blah, yada yada theme, I've basically, this is like the super simple everyday build, hybrid crit status, like every other good secondary, or better secondary in this case. So both the pistol crit mods, crit damage, crit chance, in these cases the prime versions, just if you have them. Normal versions will do fine as well for most content in the game. Then damage mods, so Hornet Strike, Lethal Torrent, and Barrel Diffusion. And then I've decided to go with 2 60-60 mods and 1 90% damage mod. And I've just wanted to go corrosive for armor stripping, but one more element which will be useful for our melee weapon. And then in the last slot are Blades of Exile, Blades of Chaos, in which case, whatever. In this case I mean the Twin Basalt. So this is a bit unique even within the dual swords, because you don't build this weapon for crit. Almost every other dual sword, dual Ichor, Prisma, dual cleavers, Nami Scalar Prime, whatever, you build for crit. But with a 5% crit chance and 2.0 multiplier, I mean, this is normal, but 5% crit chance is not going to get you anywhere. So this is a pure status build, 80% as we can see. And we're utilizing Condition Overload, which is a very, very powerful melee mod. And just using this in conjunction with Blast Corrosive. And do notice that Blast technically can count as 2 status effects for this. And will also give us some nice single target damage in form of knockdown, which can lead into finishers with this weapon. which will cause slash and therefore even bypass good armor amounts. So this can be used in multiple cases. So what do we have here? Just damage mods, conditional overload because the status weapon, fury for attack speed because berserker isn't a viable choice without crits. Then a 60-60 mod for toxin, then the best pure elemental mod for melee weapons, 165% toxin, which is one of the best elements in the game, probably the best normal single element. And then just 2 more 90% damage mods because 80% is really all you need. And then just drifting contact for a good combo mod that also gives us even more status chance for a good amount of status, so we can be sure using conditional overload will work fine. Of course you can use other combo mods like body count if you have one of those lying around, but do notice that that will affect your status chance a bit. But also you should always have this mod because it's so easy to get. Anyways, those are the 3 weapons we're gonna use. For companion, it doesn't really matter. Anything works. And of course there's specific better ones, like everyone's still using carrier, whatever. But just for the theme of this build, I don't think futuristic flying robots would work. So I'm just going with the cat. Look at that. Anything would work. This is just to stick with the theme, as I said. And one last thing is, we're going back to Atlas. Arcanes for this build. So vitality, adaptation, and your rubble mechanic, which you build up over time, basically already give you a lot of survivability. So I wouldn't use any arcane like Grace or Guardian. Not really necessary here. So instead I would use, if you have it, of course this one's the hardest one to come by actually, Arcane Energize, just because it always helps you out with your energy economy. Helps even with builds with maximum power efficiency like this one. And then Fury, because it just, your one benefits so much from this, it's so much damage. And this is for compensation, because normally, when you're playing Atlas, you would have another weapon, specific melee weapon, with certain mods on it, basically the impact mods. Because these give you a lot of damage on your one as well. At least that's what I know of, maybe it's been changed, but my knowledge, these mods, in particular these 2, because they give the highest amounts, can greatly change or increase basically the amount of damage you do with your one. And we're losing that amount of damage quite a bit because we're not using these 2 mods particularly. But, like I said, this Arcane Fury should make up for it with 120% melee damage basically all the time. Just because criticals are so easy to come by from your weapons. So, that has been the gear. No. So now, let me unequip this cat real quick. I'm gonna show it off against some basic enemies. And after that, we're going to a normal and high level mission, just to show off how this works normally. So, let's spawn in some enemies. We have 4 heavy enemies, and just some trash fodder enemies, so we can demonstrate the way that this build deals with heavy targets as well as crowds in general. So here we go, level 70 enemies, let's go. So for these crowds you just want to be petrifying them, and look at this, frozen in place, nothing they can do. And in this state they take increased damage from your one. Look at the radius that it. Go collect your rubble, and you can see we already have around 600 armor. And if you don't get armor from this, you get healed instead. When your health isn't full, rubble gives you health instead. See right now, 654, 729. Gonna punch some more of these. Even kill this guy who wasn't even stoned. Haha. So, time to deal with a heavy target. These even take good damage from your one. When you comboed with your 3, like, that took how many punches? I don't know. Definitely enough to consider it viable. Now let's deal with this heavy gunner. Oh, forgot to change the spread pattern. You can see that the viral combined with the slash procs is doing quite a bit of work. Oh, viral came out there. Sorry for that. But he died anyways. One more. And there you go. So and then, your Ballistica, you can proc a decent amount of status. What you can do then is just go in with a melee weapon. Never mind that. Alright. Let's see that again. So like I said, freezing them, turning them into stone even works. Deals a good amount of damage, good AoE because of this build. I've shown you what the Cernos can do. So now, Ballistica time. This isn't gonna be mainly your damage, but as you can see, it deals quite enough. But now let's hop onto killing a really heavily armored target. So we'll spawn in a bombard at max level, for me at least. And now we're gonna proc some status on him using the Ballistica. You can then knock him down with your melee. In this state, he takes a lot of finisher damage when knocked down while having status procs on him, and then you can just keep beating him. And that finisher with all those condition overload procs basically goes through a lot of armor even at these levels. So yeah, you have basically a way to deal with everything. Your Warframe itself, combining 1 and 3 for crowds and even heavy targets, that works. Your Cernos Prime, making heavy targets bleed out, works very well with this bow in particular, just because you have so much damage as well. Ballistica can be used, also the gimmick mechanic with your charge shots summoning ghosts, but basically just also a way to combine the good fire rate and status chance with condition overload on your melee weapon. So let's hop into some real gameplay and let's see how this works in an everyday mission. See you there. So here we are at the normal gameplay part. So for the gameplay, I'm just gonna be doing the normal sorties of today. So you even see it against some like this build, but I don't know. Up to you, but I wouldn't know of anything super special for this, but you don't really need anything else, to be honest.
I'm in, Tenno.
Oh.
This will take a moment.
Oh. Gotta be a good teammate. Look at that range on your Petrify. Just another thing for Atlas in general, just talking about it. So far I've only really talked about your 1 and your 3, just because they're so good. The other two abilities don't really have a use, because first of all, your 2 is just a wall. That's it. You can make it stronger and push it around. Great, have fun with that. And your 4, wait, let's actually try making use of this. You can still walk through these, but enemies can't. But these don't have that much health, as you can see. It's dropping quite quick, but it can still be used. Oh, alright. I don't know how that didn't petrify. I'm just gonna try to revive to see if it does petrify now.
We are finished. Move on.
Well, at least it did it for some. There we go. That's what I'm talking about.
And patch me in.
So, unfortunate. I don't know how you would even call that. Was it a bug? I don't know. Just hitboxes probably. Anyways, so your 2 can be used. Not so often though. It doesn't have a lot of use cases.
Get me in.
But your 4, in an earlier version of this build, I just want to make this even more thematic. And use the augment where it just spawns one big rumbler. Just so you can have a boy by your side at all time. Sadly you can't give him bow and arrow, which is kind of sad, but these are just basically to take aggro. They don't have that much health, don't do that much damage. They're basically just walking hitboxes for enemies, which can take fire off you. So I guess they can be used, but up to you and debatable. And look at the range on your 1, going through even those walls. Now we're at already like 800 bonus armor, so we should be really hard to kill by now, even by these level 60 plus corrupted. Oh, never mind, 50. Always mixing up the first sortie, sorry about that. But anyways, let's actually use the weapons some more instead of the frame. Just I can showcase these a bit as well. So Cernos Prime is pretty nice. Can be used against crowds as well with the other fire mode instead for single targets. Wouldn't really recommend it as your frame abilities are just so good for dealing with single targets. Like kill them even with the horizontal spread. Pretty decent. So it's more like kind of sad to say that the spirits you summon with your Ballistica Prime are probably better than the stone units you summon with your 4. Because even if it's a short duration, you even get all the bonuses carried over to the spirits you summon. Like, I just killed a shield osprey with my Ballistica and my shields went up to 500 as long as it was alive. Or infested healer auras as well. If I could actually hit again. But let's just go to the objective. I think that'll do better. And there's another consideration. Thematically and practically for your melee weapons, which I think resemble the Blades of Chaos pretty nice. The fiery theme, whatever. Which is Rift Strike, which is an augment for this weapon specifically. Which lets you teleport with charge attacks, but just to enemies. And what you can do is, in the games, Kratos always has a lot of range on their weapons because they're chained to him. And he swings them around after he lets them go because you're still chained to them. And he has a lot of range and like spinning attacks and everything, which is just so badass looking in the games. But you can't really replicate this here, and the best replication is just Rift Strike, that mod. Just because it's the only thing that can make a dual sword get a good amount of range, and it's super niche, but also a decent option, excuse me, to be used for transportation. But like I said again, not really my favorite mod, especially because I don't really use these weapons a lot. But I mean, you can see they're serviceable, they're fast enough to do the job, they fit perfectly into the theme, and look at this Atlas. I tried my best with the coloring as well, and just makes you want to play God of War again. Too bad I don't even have a PS4, and I played it at a friend's house, so poor me. Let's actually try to find a heavy target so I can demonstrate the finisher damage again. Although we might be out of luck since the mission's over. Oh. Oh fuck, accidentally stoned him. So no bonus damage to be had there, but I mean, we can do so much damage with the other abilities and weapons we have, so even without having them stoned, that was 27,000 damage just there, 42,000. And now only now we have Fury active, so playing Atlas can be super fun, but these weapons, they fit well with the theme and everything. They're nice to look at, especially these melee weapons. Do they have a real purpose? That's for you to decide. If you want to be Kratos, yeah, these do, definitely. Just because they look so good in conjunction with everything here. So, I hope that you enjoyed this. Try for something new on my end. If you have any criticisms, suggestions, everything, because this channel is super small at the moment still. Jesus Christ, Felix learned to aim. I'll read the comments, everything, criticisms, like I said, suggestions, whatever. It'll probably be mostly criticisms, but whatever. Just post in there, and maybe even ideas for future videos or characters I should try to make a build on or about, probably. Actually try to protect ourselves with a stone wall. Yeah, as you can see, I can just spam my abilities so much, even without energy regen. Zenurik. You've even gotten that far into the game? Spoilers. If this last guy could just get over here. Nope, timer ran out. So, one last time. See you next time.
fearsome appearance, Operator. You will strike terror in your enemies.